Some coins are just currency, but some coins are legends. Today, we're about to reveal the top 3 rarest and most valuable Australian 20-cent coins ever minted. Coins so scarce that collectors across the globe would stop at nothing to own them. These aren't just pieces of metal. They are fragments of history, stories frozen in time, treasures that have survived decades, sometimes centuries, hidden in plain sight. Imagine holding a coin that could be worth thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars, without even realizing it. From rare minting errors that were discovered decades after they were made, to designs so limited that only a handful exist in the entire world, these coins carry secrets that have made experts gasp and auctions explode. They've sparked bidding wars, changed hands for unimaginable sums, and left even seasoned collectors speechless. Could one of these rare treasures be sitting in your change jar, your old collection box, or tucked away in a forgotten drawer? Could a coin you've overlooked all your life actually be a fortune waiting to be claimed? Stay with me, because what you're about to see isn't just about coins. It's about history, mystery, and wealth hidden in the smallest, most unassuming forms. By the end of this video, you'll never look at a 20-cent coin the same way again. The history of the Australian 20-cent coin from 1967 is a fascinating part of the nation's transition to decimal currency. The 20-cent coin was first introduced in 1966 when Australia changed its monetary system from pounds, shillings, and pence to dollars and cents. The 1967 20-cent coin was part of the second year of this new decimal currency system and played an important role in establishing confidence in the new money among Australians. The coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machine, which was used on Australian coins from 1966 to 1984. On the reverse side, the coin displays the famous platypus design created by Stuart Devlin, the goldsmith and jeweler who designed many of Australia's decimal coins. The platypus was chosen because it is one of the country's most iconic and unique native animals, representing Australia's natural beauty and distinct wildlife. The 1967 20-cent coin was struck in copper nickel, weighing 11.31 grams, with a diameter of 28.52 millimeters and a milled edge. It was produced at the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra and also at the London Mint due to high demand for coins during the early years of decimalization. The 1967 mintage was around 58 million coins, which made it one of the more common early decimal issues. Although it was heavily circulated, many of the 1967 20-cent coins have now become collectible, especially those in uncirculated condition or proof sets. Coins with mint errors, such as off-center strikes or double stamping, are also sought after by collectors. The London Mint strikes can sometimes be identified by minor die variations which add interest to numismatists. The introduction of the 20-cent coin in the 1960s reflected Australia's modernization. The move from the old pound system to decimal currency on February 14, 1966, was one of the biggest financial changes in the country's history. The government launched massive public education campaigns to help people understand the new system, using jingles, posters, and educational materials. The 20-cent coin quickly became one of the most used denominations, replacing the florin, which had a similar value in the pre-decimal system. Throughout the late 1960s and into the 1970s, the 20-cent coin was a key part of daily life. It was used for everyday purchases, such as newspapers, milk, or tram fares. The durability of its copper-nickel composition meant that many of the original 1967 coins remained in circulation for decades before being withdrawn or lost to collectors. Over time, the design of the Australian 20-cent coin remained largely unchanged, preserving the classic platypus image which became an enduring symbol of Australian currency. However, the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II has been updated several times, reflecting her aging through the years from the machine portrait to the later designs by Raphael Makhlouf, Ian Rank Broadley, and Jody Clark. The 1967 20-cent coin marks an important moment in Australia's economic and cultural identity. It represents the early phase of the nation's decimal journey and stands as a piece of everyday history held in the hands of millions of Australians. The coin's enduring design, the craftsmanship of Stuart Devlin, and its connection to the nation's shift to a modern monetary system all contribute to its lasting legacy. Today, the 1967 20-cent coin is cherished not only for its numismatic value, but also for its place in Australia's story. It reminds collectors and historians of a transformative era when Australia took a bold step into the modern age. The coin's simple yet elegant design continues to capture the essence of Australian heritage and remains one of the most recognized and beloved coins in the country's currency history. The 1967 Australian 20-cent coin holds a deeper story than just its design and release. It represents a time when Australia was embracing a new identity, one that looked forward to modernization, unity, and independence from older British traditions. The coin emerged during a transformative decade, the 1960s, when Australia was rapidly changing both socially and economically. In 1966, the Australian government introduced decimal currency, replacing the pound system that had been used since colonial times. This monumental change meant converting everything from banking and trade systems to everyday pricing and wages. The 20-cent coin replaced the florin, which was worth 2 shillings, or 1/10 of a pound. The new coin was equal in value to the old florin to help Australians adjust more easily. The government's slogan for decimal changeover was, "Decimal currency, it's easy as pie." The 1967 20-cent coin continued the rollout of decimal currency and served as a sign of the success of the transition. The Royal Australian Mint, which had only just opened in 1965 in Canberra, was still increasing its production capacity, so some of the 1967 coins were struck at the Royal Mint in London to meet demand. This collaboration reflected Australia's gradual shift toward economic independence while still maintaining strong ties with Britain. The coin's reverse design by Stuart Devlin became an instant icon. Devlin, who was later knighted for his contribution to art and design, was known as the Royal Goldsmith and Jeweler to the Queen. His work on the platypus design was praised for capturing the movement and grace of the animal in water. He wanted the coin to reflect Australia's distinct identity through its native wildlife. The platypus, a unique mammal that lays eggs and lives both in water and on land, perfectly symbolized the originality of the Australian continent. During the late 1960s, the 20-cent coin gained popularity for its usefulness in everyday transactions. It was large, durable, and easily recognizable. Its value was significant enough to be used for medium-sized purchases, but still common enough for daily use. People often carried several in their pockets, and cash registers across the country were filled with the distinctive sound of 20-cent pieces clinking together. By 1967, the decimal currency had stabilized, and the 20-cent coin became a familiar part of Australian life. However, production numbers remained high because the coin was heavily used. The government needed to ensure that all parts of the nation, from cities to remote areas, had enough coins for smooth transactions. From a numismatic perspective, the 1967 issue is known for a few interesting varieties. Some coins struck in London show subtle differences in the spacing and alignment of letters or in the details of the platypus design. Collectors have also found examples with die cracks, rim cud errors, and misstrikes, which are rare and valuable today. Proof versions of the coin were not widely available to the public at that time, but later collectors sought after pristine examples from mint sets. The coin's obverse, the Queen's portrait by Arnold Machine, represented continuity with tradition, while the reverse represented a new national spirit. This balance was intentional. Australia wanted to modernize its economy while maintaining its Commonwealth identity. The portrait itself is a youthful image of Queen Elizabeth II wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a symbol of dignity and grace. Over the decades following 1967, the 20-cent coin remained one of the most trusted denominations in Australian circulation. It survived inflation and remained in daily use even as smaller denominations, like the 1 and 2 cent coins, were withdrawn in the 1990s. The platypus design became a nostalgic reminder of Australia's post-war optimism and progress. The Australian 20-cent coin from 1971 holds a special place in the nation's numismatic history. Introduced in 1966 as part of Australia's transition to decimal currency, the 20-cent coin replaced the florin, which had been in circulation under the pre-decimal system. The 1971 issue came during a period of consolidation for the decimal coinage, marking one of the early full production years after the initial excitement of decimalisation. The coin was struck at the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra and continued to feature the iconic platypus design created by sculptor Stuart Devlin, whose artistic work became synonymous with the modern Australian coinage series. Devlin's design depicted a platypus gracefully swimming in rippling water, symbolizing Australia's unique wildlife and the nation's connection to its natural environment. The obverse of the coin featured the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machen, which had been introduced on Australian coins in 1966 and was used until 1984. The machine portrait showed the Queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, one of her most recognized jewelry pieces. The 1971 20-cent coin was minted in copper-nickel alloy, giving it a silver-like appearance. It measured 28.52 millimeters in diameter and weighed 11.31 grams, the same as other 20-cent coins of the series. Its composition and design made it durable, allowing many examples from 1971 to remain in circulation for decades. Unlike some earlier or later years, there were no mint marks or special varieties known for the 1971 20-cent coin, and it was struck in large quantities for general circulation. This makes it a relatively common issue, but its value to collectors can increase if the coin is found in uncirculated or proof condition, where the details of the platypus design and the Queen's portrait are sharp and fully visible. During the early 1970s, Australia was still adapting to its decimal system, and the 20-cent coin became one of the most commonly used denominations, essential for everyday purchases such as bus fares, snacks, and newspapers. The coin's broad size and weight made it easily recognizable, and its distinctive sound when dropped became familiar in Australian pockets and cash registers. The 1971 20-cent coin also reflects a period of economic and social change in Australia. Decimalisation had simplified trade, accounting, and banking, helping the economy modernize. Coins like the 20-cent piece became symbols of this new, streamlined monetary system. While the coin itself was not commemorative, its production marked the continuation of a national identity expressed through uniquely Australian motifs, rather than the traditional British imagery that had dominated earlier coinage. Over the years, the 20-cent coin design remained remarkably consistent, which has made each year of mintage, including 1971, an important piece in the ongoing story of Australia's decimal currency. Collectors often seek to assemble complete sets of 20-cent coins from 1966 onward, and the 1971 issue serves as a key early entry in that collection. Today, the 1971 Australian 20-cent coin is valued not only for its face value, but for its place in history as part of the first decade of decimal coinage. Its enduring design by Stuart Devlin and its representation of a time when Australia was building a new identity through its currency make it a small but meaningful artifact of national heritage. The 1971 Australian 20-cent coin stands as an important artifact from a fascinating period in Australia's economic and cultural development. When decimal currency was introduced in 1966, the Australian people were transitioning from the British-style pounds, shillings, and pence system that had been in place since colonial times. The introduction of decimal currency was one of the biggest monetary reforms in the nation's history, modernizing the economy and aligning it more closely with international systems. By 1971, Australians had fully adjusted to using coins like the 20-cent piece, which became one of the most popular denominations due to its practicality and durable design. The design of the coin remained consistent with the original 1966 version, featuring the platypus, one of Australia's most distinctive and beloved native animals. The platypus, known for its duck-like bill, webbed feet, and aquatic lifestyle, was chosen to symbolize the uniqueness of Australia's wildlife and environment. The artist behind this iconic image, Stuart Devlin, was an Australian-born goldsmith and sculptor who played a key role in defining the look of modern Australian coinage. Devlin's goal was to create coins that were not only functional, but also artistic expressions of national pride. His work on the 20-cent coin captured motion and life through the swirling water surrounding the platypus, a detail that continues to impress collectors and artists alike. The obverse side of the coin bore the image of Queen Elizabeth II, modeled by British sculptor Arnold Machin. This portrait replaced the earlier effigy used on pre-decimal coins and became a familiar sight throughout the Commonwealth during the 1960s and 1970s. The Queen's portrait on the coin represented Australia's continued ties to the British monarchy, even as the country was developing a more distinct national identity. In 1971, the Royal Australian Mint produced millions of these 20-cent coins to meet the growing needs of the economy. This was a time of expansion and modernization for the mint, which had only been established in 1965 to replace reliance on overseas mints such as those in London and Melbourne. The Canberra-based Royal Australian Mint employed advanced minting techniques, ensuring that the coins were of high quality and consistency. The year 1971 also saw Australia going through broader social and economic shifts. The country was emerging from the post-war era into a more modern, globally engaged economy. The 20-cent coin, though small, played a role in this transformation, circulating daily among Australians from all walks of life, symbolizing a sense of unity through shared national currency. From a numismatic perspective, the 1971 20-cent coin is considered a common circulation issue, but its historical value lies in its representation of early decimal coinage. Coins from this era are often studied for their die varieties, minting errors, and quality of strike. Some collectors have noted minor variations in die wear or minting pressure that can make certain examples slightly more desirable. While no rare mint marks or special issues are known for the 1971 coin, high-grade uncirculated specimens remain collectible, especially those that retain their original mint luster. The metal composition of the coin, 75% copper and 25% nickel, gave it a bright silvery appearance and strong resistance to wear. These qualities helped ensure that the coin could endure decades of use, and many examples from 1971 are still found in circulation today, more than 50 years later. This durability is a testament to both the quality of the minting process and the sound design of the coin itself. The history of the Australian 20-cent coin from 1980 is a fascinating journey that connects numismatic design innovation, national symbolism, and the broader story of Australia's economy and identity since decimalisation. The 20-cent coin was first introduced in 1966 when Australia switched from the pre-decimal pound system to the decimal dollar system, replacing the old florin coin. Its creation marked a turning point in the nation's monetary history, reflecting a modernization of the currency system and a new artistic direction in coinage. The design of the 20-cent coin was entrusted to Stuart Devlin, who later became known as the goldsmith and jeweler to the Queen. Devlin's work for Australia's new decimal coins was widely praised for its creativity and symbolism. The reverse of the 20-cent coin features the platypus, a unique and iconic Australian animal that embodies the diversity of the nation's wildlife. The image of the platypus gliding gracefully through rippling waterlines became one of the most recognizable coin designs in the world. The obverse side bears the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, reflecting Australia's constitutional monarchy and its historical ties to the British Crown. The 1980 edition of the Australian 20-cent coin was struck during an era of growing national confidence and economic development in Australia. The coin was produced at both the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra and the Royal Mint's branch in London to meet production demands. The total mintage exceeded 65 million pieces, making it one of the most common coins in circulation at the time. However, what makes the 1980 20-cent coin interesting to collectors today is not its rarity, but its variety and the subtle differences between mint marks. There are coins from Canberra with no mint mark and coins struck in London bearing a small dot near the platypus's head. These varieties can attract collectors, especially when found in uncirculated or proof condition. The composition of the 1980 20-cent coin remained consistent with earlier issues. It was made from copper-nickel, an alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The coin has a diameter of 28.65 millimeters and weighs 11.3 grams, giving it a distinctive feel and sound when handled. The edge is milled, adding both texture and protection against wear. Throughout the late 1970s and early 1980s, the 20-cent coin was an essential part of everyday Australian life, used widely for public transport, vending machines, newspapers, and small purchases. Its durability and elegant design made it a mainstay in Australian wallets for decades. As time went on, the coin's platypus design became a cultural icon, appearing in educational materials and even commemorative issues, highlighting Australia's native fauna. In 1980, the economic landscape of Australia was shifting. The country was diversifying its industries, moving away from heavy reliance on agriculture and mining and towards a more modern industrial and service-based economy. Inflation and price adjustments meant that the 20-cent coin had increasing importance in small transactions and daily commerce. The coin's continued production also reflected Australia's commitment to maintaining a high-quality national coinage system that balanced functionality with artistry. In terms of collector interest, the 1980 20-cent coin is not considered rare, but it holds value as a piece of history representing the evolution of Australian decimal currency coins in mint state condition or proof sets, can command higher prices among collectors, especially those with clear striking and lustrous surfaces. Some proof versions were included in official mint sets, produced for numismatists, which remain popular today. In summary, the history of the Australian 20-cent coin of 1980 tells a broader story about Australia's modern identity, economic progress, and artistic expression through coinage. It stands as a continuation of Stuart Devlin's remarkable vision of uniting beauty and practicality in everyday currency. The platypus design remains timeless and beloved, symbolizing the nation's respect for its wildlife and its pride in its unique heritage. Even today, decades later, the 1980 20-cent coin continues to circulate as a reminder of an era of transformation, creativity, and national pride in Australian history. The story of the Australian 20-cent coin of 1980 goes far deeper than its design and composition. It connects to the broader evolution of Australia's monetary system, the growth of its minting technology, and the country's changing place in the global economy. Since the introduction of decimal currency in 1966, Australia's coins have been symbols of national identity, technological progress, and economic adaptation. The 1980 issue came at a time when Australia was stabilizing after the inflationary pressures of the 1970s and preparing for the economic reforms of the 1980s that would reshape the nation's financial landscape. To understand the importance of the 1980 20-cent coin, it helps to recall the journey from the pre-decimal system to the decimal era. Before 1966, Australians used pounds, shillings, and pence, which were based on the British monetary model. 1 pound equaled 20 shillings, and each shilling was 12 pence. When decimalization arrived, the new dollar was set to equal 10 shillings or half a pound. This change made calculations easier and aligned Australia's currency system with international standards. The 20-cent coin directly replaced the florin, which had a similar size and value. The transition was smooth and the new coinage was widely accepted by the public. The 20-cent coin became one of the most used denominations in Australia because of its practical value and sturdy design. The 1980 version continued the high standards established by the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra, which had been producing coins since its official opening in 1965. The Mint's goal was to create coins that were both beautiful and durable, able to withstand decades of circulation without significant wear. The 20-cent coin was made of cupra nickel, an alloy chosen for its resistance to corrosion and tarnish, a crucial factor in Australia's diverse climate, ranging from coastal humidity to dry inland heat. In 1980, Australia was in a period of transition. The government led by Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser was managing an economy facing rising unemployment and global challenges caused by fluctuations in oil prices and trade balances. Despite these issues, Australia's currency remained stable, and the 20-cent coin was one of the symbols of that everyday stability. Its presence in shops, buses, and homes represented reliability and national pride. The artistry of the coin also played a major role in its cultural impact. Stuart Devlin, the designer, was renowned for his ability to merge realism with motion. His depiction of the platypus on the 20-cent coin was inspired by hours of studying the creature's movements underwater. He wanted the ripples to create a sense of life and energy, a reflection of the Australian spirit. The design was not only aesthetic but educational. It introduced generations of Australians to one of their most distinctive native animals. The choice of the platypus was significant because it is one of the few mammals that lay eggs, and it exists only in Australia, representing uniqueness and adaptability, two traits often associated with the Australian identity. On the obverse side, the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II was updated in 1979 to the second definitive effigy designed by Arnold Machine. This is the portrait seen on the 1980 coin. It shows a more mature depiction of the Queen wearing the royal tiara, a symbol of continuity and Commonwealth unity. This image was used until 1984 when it was replaced by the Raphael Makhlouf portrait. The presence of the Queen's image reaffirmed Australia's ties to the monarchy, while the reverse design highlighted its independent character. Production of the 1980 20-cent coin occurred in both Australia and the United Kingdom to meet the nation's currency needs. The London minted coins can be identified by a tiny dot near the platypus's head, while those made in Canberra lack this mark. These details fascinate collectors because they reflect the logistics of coin production and international cooperation between mints. During this period, Australia occasionally relied on overseas facilities to supplement its domestic minting capacity, particularly during times of high demand or when new denominations were being introduced. Another important historical context for the 1980 20-cent coin is its role in public memory. Many Australians from that era remember the coin as part of daily life. It was used in payphones, newspapers, postage, and even the classic milk bars and corner shops that defined Australian neighborhoods of the time. Because of its size and weight, it was easily recognizable and had a satisfying solidity that modern lightweight coins lack. As the years went on and technology advanced, the 20-cent coin remained largely unchanged, a testament to the enduring strength of Devlin's original design. From a numismatic perspective, the 1980 20-cent coin is part of the ongoing story of Australian decimal coinage. Collectors today look for variations, such as proof issues minted in limited numbers for coin sets. These proof coins have mirror-like surfaces and sharp details, and they were not meant for circulation. They are treasured pieces of Australia's minting craftsmanship.